Everybody, it's Monica. Welcome back to my channel and welcome if you're new. I appreciate you all for being here. As you can see right here on my table, I made my logo into a diamond art print. For all of those diamond art painters out there who are interested in making your own diamond art, stick around, and that's coming up next. All right, you guys. Now, the things that you're going to need for this project, assuming that you already have a printer and a computer, you're going to need poster board depending on the size of canvas you're going to print out, or some pretty sturdy cardstock, right? You're going to need sticker paper. This is the one that I use. I already had this on hand. I am a crafter. I already had the majority of these things. So you're going to need sticker paper. As you know, as long as it's an inkjet sticker paper, you're good. This is what I did buy because I didn't have that many double-sided adhesive, right? Bought a nice hefty parchment sheets. If you choose to cover your image after you put the double-sided adhesive, just some parchment sheets, or you can keep that on there if you choose. You're gonna need one of these little doodads to smooth out the image onto the poster board or cardstock, depending. You're gonna need some little tiny Ziploc bags for your drills. I already did this a couple weeks ago when I ordered my packet from Amazon of artdot drills, all 445 colors, so it took a minute to get everything organized. And then of course you're gonna need your drills. These are the ones that I have that I ran out of boxes, but these are my groups 19 and 20. They're obviously all neutral tones. So that is pretty much it. Poster board, sticker paper, double-sided adhesive, your drills, of course your printer to print out the image, and the program to create your diamond art painting. But that is it, you guys. Let's move on to getting to do the project on Stitch Art Easy. Okay, you guys, we are on our Google search and you want to put in Stitch Art Easy. You don't have to put the 4.0, it's gonna come up automatically. But as you see, that is the first thing that comes up. You're going to click on this. And it's going to bring you to this website. Now, I want to point out here, I have a Windows laptop, but if you look here on the upper right-hand corner, they do have an Apple version as well, okay? So depending on your operating system, you want to make sure you're on the right tab for Apple or Windows, okay? Then you just want to hit free download. That's going to start downloading onto your computer, and it will take a few minutes. It took a while for me, but once that happens, you're going to see the icon on your desktop, okay? You want to double click that. I already have it preloaded here. And it's going to bring you to this, exactly like this, okay? Now, let's go over a couple of tabs here. The schema, once you pull in your image, you'll be able to print and preview right here, your image, right? We'll go back to that. Your view is once you set your image, you have options here on how you want to view it, and we'll go through that as well. You have your threads. Those are other things that we're going to go over. And the draw, I don't even mess with. I just leave it alone. So we're going to go back to schema. We're going to go to wizard. Then this pop-up window comes up. You want to click browse pictures. And I've already done this. I'm just re-recording this because for some reason my screen record is kind of glitchy, so I'm trying it again. So I'm just kind of going through the motions of what I've done previously. So here's the image that I'm going to choose to do. I'm trying to keep it as simple as possible. And I am going to
just eliminate a little bit of the excess white on either side. Then I'm going to hit next. This is an image that I created with AI. I want to say a couple of years ago. I have this on a t-shirt. I've made keychains with this. I've made stickers. I've made some bookmarkers. I absolutely love how this image turned out because I am proud to be a Latina and I absolutely love this. And anytime I wear my shirt, I get so many compliments. But either way, I thought this would look amazing as a diamond art painting, right? Okay, so back to this. Once you hit next, you're going to come to this window where it tells you the size, right? Your units, your width, your height. And this program is initially for stitch art, for, you know, for people who do embroidery or those type of things. It wasn't intended for diamond art, but I'm not sure how long it's been around. It's been around for a long time. From what I've looked at, there was a video that I stumbled across which turned me to this program. She made the video about 5 years ago, so this program's been around for quite a while. But I've only been doing diamond art maybe 2 years, 2.5 years. So I absolutely love this. Also, there are other programs out there. There was one that I initially looked at called Pixel Stitch. I do like that as well, but it doesn't give you options to get rid of the grid and certain things like that. So once I stumbled across this one and I played around with it, I chose to, use this program. All right, so it automatically defaults to Stitch because, again, this was for, for embroidery or, those type of things. It wasn't intended for diamond art, but we want to go down to the drop down and click on inch. Right here where it says stitches per inch, you want to change this to 9. I stumbled across this on my research. I don't remember the channel. I've only seen a couple of people who did a video on this program, and they were fairly old videos. But this makes a lot of sense because when I was first starting to use this and a lot of trial and error, a lot of wasted paper, it's important to change this to 9 stitches per inch because initially when I was first printing these and I wanted an image like say the size of a poster board, it came out huge. And that is not the size that I initially wanted. And it didn't make sense when I was trying to choose, like a certain size, and it was a lot bigger than I wanted. So this is why, because I didn't know about the stitches per inch. I thought you just left it alone and half at it, right? But that's not the case. So when you're doing this specifically for diamond art, you want to make sure that you're switching it over to 9 stitches per inch, okay? Now this program, because for demonstration purposes only, I'm going to make this kind of a small canvas. I don't want it to be too big. It's a fairly simple image. It doesn't have a lot of background. So I want to do maybe 10 inches across. I'm going to hit tab by 11.6 inches, and you want to keep your aspect ratio on, right? This, I'm not really sure what this is down here. I haven't messed with it. And then this resized button, it doesn't do anything. It's just there for show and tell, I guess. Anyway, once I hit 10 inches by 11.6 inches and make sure it's 9.0 stitches per inch, I'm going to hit next. And then it tells me the minimum colors is 30. I can do more or I can do less. I'm going to keep it at 30. Let me zoom in a little bit here. I'm going to keep it at 30 because it's mostly black and white. Most of the color is in the flower and the earrings, right? So I'm going to keep it at 30. I think that's fairly simple I don't want to do too many colors on a small image, but I think that's good. So I'm not going to mess with this area up here. Visually, promptly, roughly, I always keep it a visually. Right here on the floss kit, there is a drop down with multiple selections that you can make. I always keep it at the DMC Thread Suite 1. I haven't put it on DMC Thread Suite 2. I have no idea what that is. Maybe eventually I'll play with it and see what the differences are, but I just leave it that way. That's what it defaults to. I'm going to hit next. Then it will automatically populate symbols for you based on the colors that you selected. I selected 30, it populated 29, okay? There are a few symbols here that I don't care for that I want to swap out. But if you don't really like these, you can always hit right here, random symbols, and it will change them. Okay? Let's say I chose these, but there's still a couple here that I don't like, so I'm going to remove this. I'm going to remove this. I don't really like these. I don't know if they're like Greek symbols or something. I don't know. There's just certain ones I do not like. So I'm going to swap those out. You also want to make sure when you're selecting your symbols that you do not select symbols that are too similar, because I've made the mistake of doing that, and then you're going to have a hard time finding. If they're assigned to different color palettes, then that's fine, but if they're very similar colors, that's where you're going to have an issue. All right, so I'm just replacing some of these symbols. I always like using this ribbon and the I and the key and the lock. All right, let's see. I think there's a music note up here, right here. Maybe use a star and use that symbol. All right, there we go, 29. I'm okay with that. Actually, I don't want to use a number. Let's see, one more. I'll do this smiley face. All right, finish. All right, so here's my image. Let me zoom out just a little bit. Okay, there's my image. Looks pretty good. Now, if you're somebody who chooses to do the entire canvas, that's all fine. You could print it like this if you choose. There are a few things that I want to go over first, okay? So we're going to go over to view. If you wanted to print your canvas like this, you're good to go. But you have options up here, okay? You can print it out by symbol, right? Or colored symbols. You can print it out with halftone or full tone. And then just the colors, no symbols, but who would want to do that? That would be very confusing. All right, so I'm going to go to this. Another thing, I am choosing to do the image only and forego the white diamond drills. I don't want all of these drills here, okay? I'm going to scroll over this way because I want to point something out. Zoom in just a little bit. All right. Okay. So I want to go to my schematic over here on the left-hand side. And I'm going to look for this symbol, which is the equal sign, which is down here. I'm going to highlight this. This color alone, this is the one that has the majority of the diamond drills, 3,749 drills. I honestly do not want all this in my background. So I'm going to go to threads, the threads tab, and making sure that this is highlighted, I'm going to hide this symbol, and that's going to get rid of it. But do you notice that it also got rid of all these? I'm going to have to keep that in mind when I start placing my drills, because I honestly don't want that. And also, you see this little key here? I'm also going to hide this. This is just on the whole perimeter of the image. I don't need that. That's the 5200. So I'm going to hide that as well. Okay, so I know that when I print this out, right here is the only area that I need to put the 5200 beads, just in this little area right here. I already know that. Okay, and now because I want to just do the image itself, I don't want the grid back here. And we can hide that. I'm going to show you that in a minute. But I also want to mention, I'm looking at the picture here and I really don't like how this looks. So I think I want to change the symbol on a couple of these things. So I'm going to go and look for that symbol on my schematic. And then I'm going to go up here. You got to make sure you're in your threads tab. I'm going to go up here to change symbol. And I'm just going to find something a little simpler. Okay, I'm going to see if I can maybe do, oh, let's see. Let's do this one right here. I'm going to hit OK, and you're going to notice where that symbol is, it's going to change. Okay, that's good. Now I want to go to where this little, it's not an X, it's like 4 little symbols that create an X. I'm going to change that as well. Let's see here. Let's do this little moon and star and see what happens. Okay, that's good. Okay, I think that's good. Man, it's a lot of dark colors. All right, I think I'm okay with that. All right, now going back up here. Now that I've hidden the 2 colors that I don't want to use, now I want to get rid of the grid. I made the mistake of when I did my logo. This is when I first got the program and I was playing around with it. Like I said, there was only maybe 2 videos that I ran across from several years ago that they kind of briefly went over this program, but not in full detail. So I made the mistake of not hiding the grid, so you can see it under the glitter on my logo. But now that I know, I'm going to go to View, the View tab, right here where it says Grid. I'm just going to click on that, and it's going to get rid of my grid. Amazing. Who would have known? Wish I would have known, but it is what it is. Okay, I'm happy with that. So now I'm going to go to my Schema tab, and I'm going to hit Print and Preview. If it ever decides to pop up. Okay, I know this is a small image, and these 2 pages is literally probably the last 2 lines of the image. So rather than waste paper, I am going to just change the orientation from portrait to landscape, and I'm going to hit OK. And there's a delay. Okay, so there's my image. This is exactly what I want. Now, if you want to see what your printout is going to look like, you just want to hit preview. here is what your, let me zoom in just a wee bit and just expand this a little bit. All right, so this is what your first page is going to look like. And then up here on your upper right hand corner, you just want to hit the little up arrow. There's your page 2, and your page 3 is your schematic, right? So that's what it's going to look like. Close. All right, so we're ready to print. I've already printed all this. I'm just re-recording this portion. But again, I want to mention, or what I failed to mention, right here, let me expand this. Right here where it says stitch cell, because I'm choosing to use square diamonds, I want to make sure that the size of my stitch cell is 2.5 millimeters, okay? You don't want to go any bigger because then you're going to have gaps between your drills. If you're doing round drills, then you want to just go up to 2.75. I had done 2.3 for an image for my sister, and when she started placing her round drills, she said there was too much space between the drills. I just thought because a round drill is 2.88 millimeters, I figured that this would be a good size, but she said that was too big. So if you choose to do round, maybe play around with it, maybe do a test page and do 2.75. For this one, I'm doing square drills, so I'm doing 2.5 millimeters for this, okay? And usually what I do, this will print, and depending on how you have your printer set up, it'll print my schema first, and then, or should I say my color table first, and then it'll do my image next. If I'm going to kit up and I want to do the little sticker sheets on my little containers, then I'll print the color table twice, one on a regular paper and then one like on a sticker paper, so I can cut out the little images and put them on my little containers. But that's your choice, whatever you choose to do. So then you would go ahead and hit print, and it'll print out and it'll be ready to go. So I've already done this, so I'll just go and meet you at my printer. Editing Monica here. I apologize for the interruption. There was something I failed to mention when I was recording the segment that you're currently watching. So I wanted to jump in here and show you a couple of things. All right, I'm going to start with a new image because I think it's important to demonstrate what I'm talking about. So I'm going to open up Wizard and select another image. I want one that has a lot of detail. So I'm going to pick this one right here for obvious reasons. As you can see, there's a lot of detail in the flowers, a lot of shading, a lot of different colors. So we're going to hit next. Do the same thing here. Change this to inches. Change this to 9. And I want to make this 12 inches. I do want to widen this a little bit. So let me see if I can. I'm just going to do it that way. 12 by 16. Hit next. Okay. Now I'm going to show you two different things. The size of this image and the amount of colors you choose makes a difference. So it's important when you're doing your canvas that if it has minimal details, you can go with minimal colors. If it has a lot of detail like this image here, you want to do a lot of colors, but also the size of your canvas is going to matter. So I'm going to demonstrate that in a second. But let's say I chose to do 20 colors on this, right? Can you see where this changed a little bit? But we're going to keep it this way just for demonstration purposes. I'm going to hit next. Actually, let me go back. I'm gonna change this to 17. That makes more sense with the proportion. Okay. All right. Oop. Wrong way. Okay. So it's 12 inches by 17 inches and only 20 colors. So I'm going to hit next. Okay. As you can see here, I'm going to take the grid off here. Okay. As you can see here, look at the colors here. Remember, this is only 20 colors. But if you go here and look at the shading on the face, that is not going to be very subtle. The colors are kind of muddled. If we zoom out a little tiny bit here, and this is 12 inches. Say we decided it's fine, but I know for this, the original image does not look this way. My face looks a little lighter. The colors of their flowers are a little pinker. So that's a 12-inch wide with only 20 colors, okay? So now we're going to go back and change this up a little bit. I'm going to reopen Wizard. I am not going to save this. We're going to go back. And let's say I want to change this to 30 colors. I'm going to leave it at the same size, okay, for now. 30 colors. Now I got to pick 10 more symbols, so I'm just going to go in and just choose whatever. Now do you notice here the flowers look a little more colorful? The shading in my face is changed. And the greens are a little more variation to the shading in the green, right? So what I like about this program, you can play around with how many colors you want. Again, you have to get your own drills for this. So if you choose to do this, you have to be mindful of, do you already have spare drills? Do you have to order new drills? In that regard, right? So I'm going to go back and reopen this. Now we're going to size this bigger and put additional colors, okay? So I'm going to go back and I'm going to change it from that to, I'm going to say 20. Okay, I'm just going to leave it at that, 20. 20 by 30.3 inches. I'm going to hit next. Now right here, I'm going to go ahead and make my colors 50. And then hit next. You see, this gave me 49 colors, but now I got to pick an additional 19 symbols, right? Obviously, this is going to come up way bigger because I went from 16 inches to 20 inches. But do you notice here? I'm going to have to keep it this way, just a little zoomed in. But do you notice here now, these colors look more like what the image is actually supposed to look like. The face shading is a lot more subtle now. You could actually see the whites of the teeth. And the shading in the green is a lot more varied, right? This is what I mean by it's very important when you have a lot of detail in an image. You want to go bigger, you want to pick more colors. But this looks good. This is one that I will probably consider the colors and the sizing when I decide to do this. I mean, it's not perfect. It's from an app, right? Like Photo Lab. All right, let's get back to my regularly scheduled video.
All right, guys, I apologize for the angle, but I'm at my dining table. My craft room little craft cart is a little overwhelmed with things on it. So I got my 2 pages that printed out here, and these are printed on sticker paper. It is a Koala brand. I will try to link everything that I used in this video in my description, okay? So like I said before, I don't like wasting products, so I just printed my legend right here, my colors on this other half. So first of all, I'm gonna go ahead and just cut away that. Save this for later. Okay. Now what's gonna happen is these two are gonna meet up, right? So I need to trim this down to this, trim this down on the end, and same over here. So first things first, we're gonna go ahead and trim off the excess right here. I'll probably do it right there where the inch mark is, or the edge of my trimmer. Do the same thing here. And we might have to redo this again. All right, so where the 2 edges meet, I want to trim this down just ever so slightly to like right where this is right here. I apologize, the lighting here isn't the best, but okay. All right, so that's good. This is going to be the bottom of my picture, so I'll probably do this right about there. I want this to come out as easily and as smoothly as possible. Okay, next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to use one of these 11 by 14 pretty sturdy cardstock. I bought this a very long time ago. It doesn't go through my printer, so I use it for certain things, but this is the perfect thickness to do my diamond art on. So before I commit to putting it on here, I want to make sure that it's going to fit. This is another reason why I chose this size for demonstration purposes. You see how it fits perfectly on here? Perfect, perfect. Okay, let me zoom in a little bit and kind of adjust you this way just a little bit so you can see what I'm doing, because I'm going to start with the bottom piece, right? And then this one on top, but I also almost forgot. I got to trim. I need to trim this right on the edge of this. This is exactly what's going to meet up to the edge of my other one. So I need to really look very carefully here and not overcut, but also not leave any gaps of white. So normally I would do this by hand, but I also want a straight line. You see, I still have a tiny bit I need to, you can see I didn't trim enough. So I'm going to go back in and just ever so slightly trim that excess white off. Perfect. Okay. All right, that's perfect. All right, let's move my cutter out of the way. Okay. We got our 2 pieces. Now I'm going to start by placing this. I need to get my little smoothing tool. Bear with me, you guys. I guess I'll use this. All right, I got my little smoothing tool. So now we're just going to peel off the backing. I usually try to start at the bottom corner and just leave like maybe 1/3 of an inch. All right, there we go. And then just start slowly letting it fall in place. As simple as that. All right. When you have more than a couple of pages, it does get tricky, because when you have like 4 or 5 pages, you not only have to meet up the bottom, but some of them you have to meet up on other sides. So to try to make sure they're even on this side and on the side, it is difficult. I've had issues with that before. Okay, so that one's down. Now I'm going to do this. And just make sure I bend down just enough. All right. Now this is where we want to be very careful and just meet up the colors as best as we can. This is a little tricky, you guys, I'm not gonna lie. I'm noticing my cutter didn't really do a great job here. I don't know what happened there. But, all right. I mean, I can tell where it butchered that little section there, but at least I can still see the symbols. Okay. I need to change out the blade on my cutter. Okay. Same thing. Now we just want to pull away at the carrier sheet and then just work our way over. It's not easy because I've had some where I've totally wasted product. I hate wasting product. I've said that many, many times. Just smooth it out. All right, that's good. Okay, now I'm going to trim down the excess here. Oops. I think this is why it butchered that little edge, because of this. It's what happens when you use anything with adhesive on it, at least in my experience. All right, so we move this aside. All right, let me take you off of my tripod and we're gonna get a better look at this, okay? Okay, so as you can see, the images are very clear. I did not put the grid on here, which is nice to have that option, right? Where my little seam is messed up is right there, and I know it's because that little strip got caught on, but at least I can see the symbol good enough. Can you see that? It's fine. It'll still work. All right, so now we're going to get some double-sided adhesive and then place this over here, and then we'll move on to finishing up and wrapping up this tutorial. All right, I have my double-sided adhesive. I already cut an extra piece off of another one for the bottom part, but I also want to trim off any excess. And I'm not going to go all the way to the edge of the page, right? I'm just going to go right here to the edge of the grid. So I want to trim off, oh, this is about maybe 2.5 inches. I'm going to double check that. So I want to just go to the edge, right here. This is how I measure it. Everybody could do it differently, but let's see. I want to leave, might be easier doing it this way. Okay, so I'm going to go to the edge. I don't want to cut off too much, but I also want to make sure. I'm going to start right here, maybe right here. And if it's not enough, then at least I can cut off any extra later. See, that's still too much because I want to go to the edge. That's still too much. So I need to cut off about another inch. So we'll do that. Maybe a wee bit more. Because again, I'm not putting anything on the white sections anyway. Okay, that's perfect. Okay, so now I'm just going to match this one up and do the same thing. Okay. All right. Let me move this out of the way. All right. Back to this. Just make sure this is free of any debris. Okay. Now we're going to put the adhesive. Make sure we have our little handy dandy tool here. All right. Do the same thing as we did when we were putting the sticker paper onto the cardstock. Now I just want to go over here. I apologize for the lighting, you guys. My dining room's lighting is not the best. Okay, now we're just going to line the adhesive up to the very edge of the grid right here. Doesn't have to be precise because again, we're not filling in the negative space with drills. We're just doing the main image. Okay. And we want to do the same thing because this is the double-sided adhesive. You do want to be very slow in this process so you don't get any kind of bubbles. So far, I haven't really had issues with that. The biggest issue I've had is when I'm putting the sticker paper onto a poster board or a cardstock and there's multiple sheets. Lining them up is the issue. And I've had a few errors, like I've had to redo certain things because of that problem. Not very often, maybe 2 or 3 times that that's happened. And because it's vinyl sticker paper, it is easier to lift up and change it out. You just got to make sure you do it in little baby steps like this, right? I might have to trim down that other section so I don't have too much. All right, so that piece is done. Make sure I get all of this nicely smoothed out. All right, so now this one, the bottom one, I definitely have to trim this down a little bit. Probably about an inch or so. Let's do that real quick. Oops, I'm gonna do this side. Yeah, I think that'll be good, about an inch. All right, let's see. Let's hope that's not too much, but just enough. Yeah, a little bit more because I don't want it to go all the way to the very edge. Because I'll probably put some kind of washi tape or, you know, something to finish off the edges, right? And trust me, guys, I don't throw away those extra little adhesive strips. I don't like wasting stuff. Okay, this is perfect. All right, so now we're gonna do this one because it's a smaller strip. We're going to do it this way. I'm just gotta make sure it's lined up. Okay, there's gonna be a little tiny gap right there, and that's my own fault, but that is what these little extra strips come in handy for. See, that was my bad. See but that could be a very easy solution. Use this, right? And I'll show you how I'm gonna fix this because we are going to cover this with parchment sheets. So here's my parchment sheets. I got these at the Dollar Tree. I think they were like $1.50 and you get 100. All right, So how I'm going to rectify this, I'm going to remove this sheet. Then I'm going to place this on here. Then I'll place the parchment and it'll be good to go. This was my own fault because I wasn't paying attention. I just want to make sure this is very well adhered and smoothed on before I do this. So now we're going to remove the carrier of the adhesive. I'm going to go back and put this on here, just line it up. I don't really need it in that first part, maybe up to the L, so let me see. I got to trim off about so much. All right. So probably, yeah, about so much. I don't need all that. Okay, perfect. Okay, now I'm going to just see if I can do this without making a mess. I've done this a couple of times, you guys. All right. I'm going to line it up over here on this corner. Just slightly. Is it straight? No, but at least it's covering the... Leave it to me to do this when I'm trying to film, right? But it covered the area that I needed. All right, so now we're going to get our parchment sheets and just cover up the area. I could have trimmed that down, but that's okay. I'm not worried about it. Okay. All right, so that's ready to go. Now, let's move on to the next segment, you guys, and I will be right back. Okay, now that we're done with setting up our canvas, now we got to select our color drills. I bought a box of 445 color drills from artdot on Amazon, and I will put the link to that. When I decided to make my own diamond art, I didn't really have any spare drills, and I'll be honest, I will have to throw a clip in here of why that is. This is what I was doing initially. This is a pickle jar. Look at all my drills in there. You think I'm going to be in there trying to weed out all the ones? No, thank you. I save these, but because I am a crafter, I know I can utilize them in something, but I had not anticipated, you know, doing my own diamond art until I stumbled across this program, and I wish I would have done that before, but it is what it is. Moving forward, I'm going to start saving all my drills. But yeah, this is a pickle jar of all my diamond drills from all the diamond paintings that I've done. So I still will use these in other projects, but unfortunately, I can't pick out specific colors here. It's just no way that I'm going to do that. No, thank you. Just wanted to mention that. After days and days of sorting them, I finally have a system in place. I decided to put my artdot drills in categories of color families. Might not make sense. I'm just going to see if the system works for me. If not, I'll just switch it to the traditional, you know, by code, right? Okay, so we know I'm not going to use the 5200. The 3865 I will probably do at the very end, which is where, you know, the little blank space is right here in the face. Okay, so we're going to start off with 168. And actually, I'm going to show you what I did. I downloaded the DCM color chart And then it was a PDF file, so I had to, or should I say, an Excel file, because it was very important for me to put them by color code. So I had to find, it took me some searching, but I finally found one. I did have to save the Excel sheet as a copy. That way I can make adjustments because it was protected and I couldn't filter or do anything. So once I made that, I went ahead and sorted them by color family or color shade. And then I assigned a category or a group, like these are all group 1, right? Group 2, group 3, group 4. I mean, you can see the color families here. I thought that this system would work for me. I don't know. I haven't tried it yet, but worst case scenario, I just put them back in order by code. Right? I will go in more in depth of this probably in another video of how I chose to do this, but I'm gonna go ahead and look for all my colors. Okay, you guys, as you saw in the last clip, I selected all my colors and I am ready to go. That didn't take very long at all. It only took me a couple of minutes to search for the groups in my Excel sheet. But this is ready to go. Maybe I'll kit up, maybe I won't. I haven't decided yet, but there you have it.
Okay, you guys, that is it. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. It's something new for me, this program. I'm really liking the features that I have a little more variety as far as what I want to do with the canvas itself. There are other programs out there, as I mentioned in my video. There's that Pixel Stitch, but it doesn't give you the option to get rid of the grid. It doesn't give you the option if you want to print by various, just the symbols or just by colored symbols or just the colors. I like this for that reason. I hope you guys give it a shot. I'm not sure if you guys have heard of it before. It is a fairly older program, but that is it, you guys. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, could you please hit the like button? And if you would consider subscribing, I would greatly appreciate it. I will see you guys in the next video. Have a good day.